everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here today for this special project, the Centurion Project. Tonight, you're going to learn so much about the Alberta independence movement, and you'll hear some different perspectives. So before we begin, though, I'd like to start with a warm round of applause, not just for the presenters here today, and not just for the supporters of independence, but let's also have a round of applause for the people who are here that don't support independence or they are undecided. Let's make them feel welcome. Big round of applause, everybody. My name is Benita Peterson, and I consider it a privilege to serve as your MC this evening. And one of the things I've been learning from in-person events and online events is what's really important is the conversation. We need to have the conversation. We need to disagree respectfully with one another. And I've had some experiences where people weren't respectful, and those are not my favorite moments. I appreciate it when we can disagree in a respectful manner. And so another round of applause if that's something you agree with as well. Now, tonight's program is a very full program. We have a whole list of exciting speakers, including even a comedian, because we need to laugh at times and maybe even sometimes laugh at ourselves. The first person you're going to hear from tonight is a fellow named Tim Hoven. Now, before I introduce him, if you do have your phones on, please either turn them off or turn them to mute. That would be super, so we don't have any interruptions tonight. By the way, if you're looking for the restrooms, they're just back that way and on the left. And if you somehow missed registering at the registration tables at the entry, make sure you head back at some point and register. At some point, we'd like to follow up with you, just send you a bit more information. So our first presenter this evening is Tim Hoven, and I've had the privilege of working with him on other projects as well. He's the co-founder of TCP and the man who will take the essence of community grassroots organizing into the future. That's our prediction. He's a fourth-generation Alberta farmer, former Clearwater County Reeve, and one of the most persistent voices in Alberta's grassroots political movement. He has spent years fighting for the principle that representatives, elected representatives, should be the voice of their constituents, not Edmonton's voice handed down to the people. Tim has been on the ground organizing meetings across rural Alberta and is living proof of what the Centurion Project is built on. Ordinary Albertans showing up and doing the work. Please welcome Tim Hoven.
Good evening. Thank you so much for being out here on a beautiful April evening. Yeah, finally. As I was driving up tonight, one word came to my mind, the word if. The word if is where the future and the past meet, right? I think back to when I was young, and it was like, if I have the courage to talk to this girl, maybe she'll marry me. If I have the courage to apply for this job that maybe I'm not skilled enough for, I just might get it and it might change my life. Right now in Alberta, we are at one of those moments. If we get to choose our future, we get to choose which direction we want to go. It's going to be a check mark on a piece of paper that says that if. Do we want more of the status quo for not just my generation, but for the next 5 or 6 generations past? Or will we have the courage to say, if we vote this way, maybe we can change everything? That's the decision that everyone in this room is going to have to make. And if we have the courage to choose the bigger dream, every generation that comes after us will have a better quality of life, will have more prosperity, and perhaps most importantly, they will have more freedom to choose the life that they want to live. So we can either act with fear. Oh, I'm so afraid. What if I lose this? What if I lose that? Or we can embrace that if and choose a better world for our families. My son, I've got 8 kids, 6 sons, 2 daughters. My wife and I have 4 grandchildren right now. So I always talk this one story with my son, and they always argue about which one it is. But my son had a girlfriend, they broke up. And about 6 months later, she calls him up and wants to get back together. And she's a very beautiful girl, very nice, but they had a philosophical difference about what they wanted for their future together. And they mutually decided it wouldn't work. So when she calls up and wants to get back together, my son comes up to me and said, "Dad, I don't know what to do. I like her. I'd love to spend time with her, but I might be signing up for something that I don't really want." And I said, "Son, if you stand up for what you believe and what you want out of your life, you are always going to win. It might not be with her, but there will be someone else that you can say yes to if you stand up for yourself." So he did the hard choice and said, "No, I'm moving on. I'm waiting for something better to come." And so my short little message for Albertans tonight is we have to have the courage to say goodbye to what's comfortable, goodbye to what's easy, and embrace the hard that's going to come over these next 5 months to make that if the biggest if in Canadian history. If we act, we can make a difference. Not just for our own lives, but for our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren. It's that easy. It'll take a lot of hard to get to that easy, but we will be the people making a difference for the future. So I invite you all to, when you get home tonight, check out the CenturionProject.ca on the internet. If you have the courage, please sign up to register, and let's bring about a better future for all Albertans. Thank you very much.
I think we should give him a little extra applause. A little extra applause for Tim Hoven. For those of you who don't know about me, I became a rally organizer in 2021 because I had some concerns about policy. And one of the things I learned about rallying is that it's a lot more fun when we have music and laughter. And we cracked quite a few jokes at that time. Those jokes were about Trudeau, the Prime Minister of Canada. We way back when in 2021 too, we were cracking jokes about Jason Kenney. And laughter, of course, it's one of our ways of coping with adversity. But laughter, it can also be a weapon when needed. And making fun of things and freedom of speech is so incredibly important to us, and that ability to laugh. How many of you are supporters of freedom of speech? Do you support freedom of speech? I'm so pleased I'm with the right audience. Now, you may have heard about Bill C-9. Bill C-9 incoming. Aha, you've heard so much about it, you're concerned with it. And curious of what that's going to mean to freedom of speech. And not just freedom of speech, but what's that going to mean to laughter and comedy? The ability to say what we want and make fun of people in leadership positions, elected representatives, etc. So this next act is someone who's also concerned about Bill C-9. Comedy is an act of defiance against absurd authority, and comedians are a signal of society. They can give us signs when society's strong or society is sick. And it's very concerning when courts issue fines to comedians and other individuals using these vague laws dictated by Ottawa. In my own case, I'm facing the Alberta Human Rights Tribunal for a flyer I distributed back in June of 2023. So I know all about it, this infringement on our freedom of expression. So here to put a twist on things and maybe help you see things in a different way is from Calgary, Alberta, Daryl Makk. Give him a big welcome.
All right, get this set up here. Thank you for that applause, folks. It's a thrill for me to be doing a show in an airplane hangar. Scratch that off the bucket list for sure. I'm one of the few Alberta stand-ups who's actually promoting independence, so I hope you can support me for this. Yeah. Hold on with that picture, buddy. If you want to know how Albertan I am, I got this shirt just for the stage. Good old Ralph Klein there. Oh, I have seen this guy. He's good. He's good. I think I should start off, though, because this is, 2026. I have to start off my show with a land acknowledgement. No, hold on. We have to pay tribute to the original stewards of this land, the dinosaurs. They don't ask for much. We built them a museum out in Drumheller, and they're cool with it. It's ours now. So, some of you got a little bit ooey there. Well, hang on. Oh, point of privilege. Point of privilege. I've got my equity card. Did you ever see that circus, the NDP? Like, I'm more privileged than the other privileged person. Excuse me, chairwoman. I'm non-binary. You would just refer to me as chair. Oh, sorry. Okay, furniture. So I made another one. This is my card, the no equalization card. Screw you, NDP. I don't know what fantasy land they live in. I'm still suffering from when. Remember, they shut down all of our coal plants? Alberta has. Oh, good. We got an applause break off the computer. Perfect. Yeah. They shut down our coal plants because it was bad for the planet, totally ignoring we have some of the cleanest coal generators on the planet. But they didn't have a backup plan, so Alberta actually had to buy electricity from Montana, which uses coal in dirtier, older generators. So look at us cleaning up the planet. Oh, that's like shoveling your dog poop over the fence and going, look how pristine the world has become. Yeah, you over there, you might want to clean that up. Look what we're doing here. Exciting times, boy. Oh, this is the week that we start our test of the new speed limit on Highway 2. They're raising it from 110 to 120. And some of you are confused. You're going like, you mean it wasn't that already? This is Alberta. This is the only province where you can be going along where you're on the fudge zone of maybe getting pulled over, looking for cops. And an F-350 pulling a 30-foot ski boat will blow your doors right off. Guess I can boogie on down there. Point of order. Oh, my God. The last federal election was hilarious. All the signs popping up everywhere in my neighborhood, and it came down to two for my choice. One was garage sale Friday and Saturday, and the other lawn sign was for rent. And those were the two choices we really had. And there's the videos of the Liberal supporters doing that. Elbows up. That was their phrase. Elbows up. Anybody who knows hockey knows that's a 2-minute minor. We're already short-handed, you numbskulls. Elbows up. Jeez, pull the goalie and bring out the Zamboni. I don't know who made the video, but there's a whole bunch of them at McMahon Stadium going to see this guy who's named after my toilet. Mark Carney. I named my toilet that. I meet with him every day and I give him, well, you know what I mean. It's an old Trudeau joke my dad wrote. It's been recycled. They're all lined up and they're doing the elbows up and someone put the bird dance to it. Do you guys see that one? Just a bunch of idiots are there, and they're the same ones who troll all of our independent sites. I'm a troll hunter. You might see me on there when I'm not in Facebook jail. But I go after the trolls that it's always the same stuff. What are you going to do for a currency? I never thought about that. Cluck, cluck, cluck. How about pelts? We'll start with yours. Frightening times out there, man. And people are talking about, this is the end of the world. It's going to be World War III. Settle down, Karen. This is my 5th World War III I've been through. Just buy a desk from the 70s out of an old school. You tuck and roll into that, you'll be fine. Everyone's always upset, like maybe we do have a World War III, or maybe we have an extinction event coming. We don't know. There's been other civilizations that have been lost, no evidence. We found all the ruins. So I want to be remembered. What if we do have an extinction event? Don't you want to be remembered? I've been doing my part. I've been buying a lot of clay pots. Every time we find ancient ruins, the pyramids in Egypt, the cliff dwellings in Tibet, Machu Picchu, do we find the technology and the tools and how they made these magnificent structures? No, clay pots. So I've been buying them. There's something that you can buy pre-broken, somehow survives. I've been stuffing them all over my neighborhood so we can be remembered. Sir, if you got a good garage with a solid foundation, you put a couple clay pots in there, and a future archaeologist will come along and go, this was a temple. They prayed to their gods Milwaukee and Snap-on. And the angels, Ford, Chevy, and Mopar. It was a temple for sure. Scary. And I'm glad we got a few young people here too. I'm glad I'm not young anymore. I mean, I wish I was, but also not, because, a younger me, I don't want to have to date the young women of today. I don't know what kind of parents are setting some of these ones. Like, I can't remember. Guys, think back when you're in your dating life. Do you remember thinking, she's good looking, but if only her eyelashes were huge, that's what I'm really looking for. Someone with like condor wingtips, just like, is it breezy in here? No, she's just blinking, relax. Frightening stuff. Twerking, I don't get that. That's supposed to be sexy. It looks like your butt's having a seizure. My demographics, I see my lady twerking, I'm dialing 911. Yeah, it's gonna be a stroke here or something, I don't know. It's looking kind of frightening. Keep those elbows up. What are you going to do? Because you're landlocked. We're landlocked now, you idiot. Shut up. I just wish they would. It's always the same ones. And I hunt the trolls. Oh, I do. You can tell it's a troll when they make the same stupid comment. You go to their profile, 7 friends, 2 pictures, not allowed to comment on their profile. No space for hate. Yes, thank you for bringing that one up. I love that, because that is a good message, really, on paper. No space for hate. You see that around their profile picture. They got the flag. No space for hate. And it's a good message, but they don't mean it. If you don't believe me, just find any thread where somebody dared to disagree with their ideology. Believe me, they've got lots of room for hate. Oh, they will spew hate. Look at this guy. He didn't agree, and now he's an incel. I don't know how that works. Okay, you guys never had that one thrown at you. I guess it's just me. Just trying to get through life. I don't have all the answers, folks. If you're here for that, I apologize. I don't have all the answers. Maybe because I was homeschooled for a bit. They call it expel, but let's not split hairs on this. I'm not sure how much time I got because the timer stopped. Oh, it's kicking down again. All right, they gave me a little bit more. Thanks. Yeah, I got kicked out of school, and not because I was a bad student. I was a straight A student, but I was being taught at the same level as the elbows up kids. So I had spare time on my hands. I was a little bit bored. Now, I didn't get thrown out like the regular delinquents, like fighting in class or drinking on the playground or smoking in the boys' room, the usual delinquent things. No. I, Daryl Makk, got kicked out of school for Stealing library books and selling them to a secondhand bookstore. Oh. That was my foray into the criminal world, yeah. You want some contraband literature? You talk to the word father at his locker come recess. Principal's looking at me, why would you do this? Are you kidding me? You're the one who taught me about the economy and social studies. I've got a pinball habit. My allowance ain't cutting. I got to keep the wheels of commerce going here. And over the years, just trying to stay ahead of the game here. It's like I'm trying to stay healthy. I had a bit of a health scare recently, but I've been like a label reader for quite some time, reading things, watch what I put in my body. But that takes things off your grocery list forever. You start reading labels. Hot dogs, can't buy them anymore. I read what's in hot dogs. There's words in there I can't even pronounce. I think I failed chemistry because of that word. And then there's word combinations you should not see on food ingredients like may contain. What? Something, something, and, slash, or. Was nobody looking at the grinder when you were shoving livestock down the chute? Can you narrow it down? Give me a hint. Was it 2 legs or 4? Feather or fur? What was the last sound it made? Just put that on there. I don't know where we went wrong, man. Our government always just takes things away. That's the system Canada has, and I don't like it. One person does something stupid, and all of you don't get it anymore. That's why Canada Day has pretty much sucked for me for years, because it took the best part away. I'm talking about, of course, firecrackers. Yeah, little sticks of dynamite. That was a toy. We would just blow stuff up all day long. Show Canada. Boom, sisters, Barbie doll is collateral damage. Our home and neighbors. Mailbox disappears. Fun for the entire family. Even grandma would get involved, but someone let their future Tide Pod eating milk crate challenge kid loose, unsupervised, and he went, hey, I wonder if I can hang on until the big kaboom. And now, thanks to three-fingered Dwayne, nobody gets firecrackers anymore. They're gone, never to be seen in this land again. It was the same kid a couple years later. Really wobbly aim with the lawn darts. Way to go, Dwayne. You just stabbed the neighbor kid right in the head. Now we don't get lawn darts anymore. Why don't you save your superpower till they invent Pokemon Go? Use it for good instead of evil. By the way, if there's anyone here tonight named Dwayne, I just want to point out there's 2 ways to pronounce the name. Dwayne, the proper way, and then Dwayne. And that's the guy I'm talking about. He's out there and he's ruining stuff. And I was doing these jokes one time in Medicine Hat, and this guy came up to me and says, hey, I thought you were really funny. I just want to shake your hand. By the way, my name's Dwayne. I only have 3 fingers. And before I could stop him, 2 stumps met my mitt. So he's real and he exists. And he's out there ruining stuff for everybody. You ever been driving somewhere, you're late for an appointment? Oh, I'm going to take a shortcut. No turns allowed. Damn it, Dwayne's been here. See a nice park? Maybe I'll take my dog for a walk. No pets allowed. Who gave Dwayne a pet, for crying out loud? But he does some good once in a while. Not intentionally, but it happens. A lot of times after my shows, I'm in a hotel room late at night, drunk, bored, just looking in the bathroom and going, I wonder what that hairdryer sounds like underwater. And then you see the warning label on the cable. Oh, no, bad idea. Dwayne's already tried it. Yeah. Lightning bolts and skeletons can't be good. Oh, you guys, it's been fun. I'll leave you one bit of help. Before I do this one last bit, I just want to say, if you know any venues that are of like mind that are looking for a comedy show, please mention my name. I'm trying to build more of a comedy tour based on independence and freedom. So, spread the name out there. Thank you. I don't have much time, so stop it now. If you're ever in a grocery store, I'll leave you with this one. If you're ever in a grocery store and you hear someone like me just swearing, it probably is because I'm pushing my cart past the margarine display, and I hate margarine. I loathe it. I despise it. It's been a lie our entire lives, and we were told what? It's a substitute for butter. No, it's not. It's It's one molecule away from being plastic, and they convinced us to eat it. No, margarine exists for one reason only, so poor people can have Tupperware too. Enjoy the rest of the night, folks. I'm Daryl Makk. Cheers.
Thank you so much, Daryl Makk. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for this comedian. Daryl has been making Albertans laugh and think for over 30 years. He's a veteran comedian. He's been featured on the Comedy Network, and he's become one of the most recognizable voices in the Alberta independence movement. So thank you, Daryl, both for your humor and for bringing hard truths to the conversation about Alberta's future. Let's give him another round of applause. We need that. We need to laugh sometimes. Now, our next presenter is a specialist at organizing people, democratically organizing people, particularly against government overreach. He's one of the greatest community organizers of our generation, in my opinion. David Parker has founded multiple grassroots organizations teaching citizens how they can work to shape the destiny of a political party and a province. David empowers people to take personal initiative and hold themselves accountable. David will be presenting on the philosophy of independence and the duties of citizenship, laying the roadmap for what we must do to keep our freedoms. Please join me in welcoming David Parker.
All right, everyone. Well, this is awesome. We've got a full room. This is the launch of the first meeting, major meeting, we've had a few house meetings, of the Centurion Project. Now, why are we doing this? Why am I back? You know, I left for a while. People were like, where'd TBA go? What's going on? I had to go and deal with some problems. One of them was Elections Alberta fined me $140,000. You may have heard of that for holding meetings like this. And at the time, I didn't have $140,000. So I had to go make some money. And how did I do that? I went and did a tour across the U.S. with Tucker Carlson. Some of you may remember when he came here to Edmonton. So I was on that tour with him. And then I was also last year on a tour with Megyn Kelly. So whether you like those people or not, they are very big figures in America. And I learned a lot while I was down there, met a lot of people. But I am back. And the reason that I am back is because I do not think that the current methods that we are using will get us independence. That's the truth. I do not think that we are going to get, and I want to say, to start off with, we all owe a great debt to Mitch Sylvester. A great debt. I do not think that we can repay that debt. Because if it was not for Mitch Sylvester, there would be no independence referendum. If it was not for him driving over 300,000 kilometers in his truck over the last 2.5 years, and sometimes driving for 5 hours to see 5 people in a room. Do you know how discouraging that is as someone who's trying to rally people? I do, because I did that with TBA. But we owe him a great debt of gratitude, and we owe the people who have got us here, which is the canvassers. Marty's here, but there's many, I'm sure, of you that were canvassers. We owe all of you a great debt of gratitude. So let's give them a round of applause. None of this would be possible without you. So nothing that I'm about to say should in any way discredit what has been done. However, we are not going to win independence with pop-ups and town halls or door knocking or phone calling. All right, we're not going to. Because what we face is every single institution against us. Okay? The media is against us. The law schools are against us. The judges are against us. We're seeing that right now. The UCP is against us. You may not like to hear that, but the Premier got up and said that she is going to campaign for staying in Canada. She wants us to stay in Canada, right? Not only that, but we have the Liberal government that's against us. We have the NDP in Alberta that's against us. We have the Liberal Party in Alberta that's against us. We have the unions that are against us. So if there's ever been a David and Goliath story, this is it. So I'm back because I think that we have something that they don't. We have each other. Okay? But politics has not been done in a way that is good for people in a long time. Think about it. If a random person that's a volunteer comes to your door, what is the odds that they're going to persuade you to change your political views? 0, right? I've never had someone knock on my door that's changed my mind about anything. Not even a vacuum salesman, right? So the door knocking isn't going to work. Now everybody has one of these. They can see who's calling them, right? What are the odds you're going to answer a random phone call and have your mind changed? 0. We can't hold enough town halls to reach the people that we need to reach. So, we have a problem. Right now, according to the polling, we are somewhere between 28 and 38%. ECOS came out with a poll 2 days ago, 38% support of independence, and Leger and Janet Brown came out 27 to 28. So let's put it in the middle. Let's say we're at 32, okay? 32% of Albertans is 1 million voting age Albertans. We need to get to at least 1.5. But here's the other problem. Not everybody votes. Brexit had their equivalent of what we're about to, the UK had their equivalent of what we're about to do, Brexit, the Brexit referendum. Guess what percentage of people voted in that? 72%. 28% of people didn't even bother to vote on the future of their country, and it will be the same or worse here. And that might sound bad, but that's actually very good news. Because guess what? Every single independence supporter in this province is going to vote. Every single one. And how are we going to do it? What are we going to do to make sure that happens? Well, I'll tell you, we're not going to do it with phone calling. We're not going to do it with door knocking. We've already been there, right? You're going to do it. The people of Alberta are going to make this happen. But, of course, the question is how? And that is why we've created the Centurion Project. The Centurion Project is based on a philosophy, and the philosophy is simple. It's actually very, very, very old. It is the philosophy of the Romans and the Greeks, and it is the idea that citizenship is not a right, it is a responsibility. Okay? The Romans had an election every single year. Every year. And you went through a cycle as a Roman citizen, and when it came your turn, you got elected and you were the judge for that year. Your job was to judge disputes between your fellow citizens. They took citizenship incredibly seriously. In fact, as a citizen, it was your job every year to go and vote. And if you didn't, you lost your citizenship. Right? You had to be engaged. You had to be involved. Right now, in Red Deer, 21% of people bothered to vote in the municipal election. 21%. That means if you were in a room with 10 people, only 2 bothered. Think about that. If only 10% of us had gone out and voted, we would have every single municipality outside of Edmonton and Calgary. But people just can't be bothered. Our sin, the sin of this nation, is apathy. We are an apathetic people. Now, you're here. You've taken the first step. You're not as apathetic, but you need to repent. You need to repent of your evil ways. And your evil ways are, you thought your leaders were being elected to take care of you. You thought that they would get elected and they would deal with the problems. And you gave them free rein to become one of the most corrupt groups of people in human history. Okay? Like, that's insane. What we are experiencing is worse than the slavery they write about in Exodus. Okay, in Exodus, go read it for yourself. It was slavery because they were taxed 25%. Okay, buddy, I'm speaking, you're not speaking, sit down. All right? So, and what does it mean, since he doesn't like the word repent? What does it mean? It means turning around and going the other way. It doesn't mean feeling guilty. It doesn't mean feeling sorry or bad for yourself. That's not what it means. It means realizing you were going the wrong way and going the right way. And the right way, the way to win this, is not to find a leader. Stop putting your faith in leaders. Stop putting your trust in other people, because they are not here to save you. That is the truth. You know what? It's really easy to blame other people for your problems, because then you don't have to take responsibility for them. I used to be an alcoholic. And the funny thing about it was, I blamed all the reasons and the problems of my life on other people. I was angry that I wasn't getting the promotion that I wanted. I was angry that people didn't like me, that I wanted to like me, whatever it was. And it wasn't until I realized that every single problem in my life was my fault, even if it wasn't. It was taking full responsibility for my life. That is when my life started to change. But if you don't do that, if you live in the victim mindset of blaming other people, of hating what's going on, of being angry, if you do that, they control you, because it is very easy to control angry people. Very easy. Okay? The liberals just make people... Look at what the liberals have done to a lot of boomers. I'm sorry to say it. Look what they've done. They've completely brainwashed them into blaming every single problem in this country on a president of the United States who will be gone in 3 years. Then who are they going to blame? This problem that we face in Canada has nothing to do with Donald Trump. He's a tiny fraction of the problem you face. Sure, the tariffs, I don't like tariffs. I don't agree with them. But he is not your problem. Your government is your problem. A government that taxes you so much that it is impossible to get wealthy in this country on a job. Impossible. And now, my generation can't afford a house. That is bad government policy. That is what has led us here. However, we can't blame them, because we put them there. Now, Albertans didn't, right? We've just been abused for 40 years, and we've been taking it, and that's our fault. So what do we do about it? Well, you're going to have to become better citizens. That's it. And the Centurion Project is my gift to you on how to do that. So I'll explain a little bit. I've done 49 election campaigns now. So I've been doing this for 22 years, 23 years now. And one of the things that I would always do, someone would come to me and they're like, I want to run for office, right? And I've got good ideas, and my ideas would be great, and people need to listen to me, and if they listen to me, things will be better. And I say, I don't care about your ideas. How many people do you know? So I have a question for the audience, okay? What is the one quality that all leaders, good or bad, have in common? Followers. Right? You're not a leader if you don't have followers. You might feel like a leader. You might, think you have some good ideas, but you're not a leader if you don't have followers. So I would say to anyone who wanted to run, put a room together with 25 people and I will come and tell them the plan. If they couldn't put the room together with 25 people, then I wouldn't help them run, because that's not a leader and they're never going to win. Your ideas don't matter in politics as much as you think. People are what matter in politics. So I'm going to teach you all to become little organizers. You're going to become the organizers of something you already have, something you've been developing all your life that exists and will take very little effort from you because it's something that you've built. Your network. You see, one of the great lies of the modern world is the lie of an individuality. That you are some little individual that just exists in the universe. You're not. You're the node in the center of a network of relationships. I have a couple cousins that were adopted, one from Bulgaria, one from Romania. And one of them didn't get adopted till she was 2, and she's permanently disabled because she wasn't held enough as a child. Right? If you don't get human contact as a child, if you don't get love from a parent, you will not develop properly. Relationships are everything in life, and you all have them. In fact, the average person has about 150 to 200 actual relationships, and they've done lots of studies on that. You can't have many more relationships than that. Okay? Like, you can't actually have a personal relationship with many more people than 200, 150 to 200. But you all have them. Okay? You all have family members. Some of you have children. Some of you have grandchildren. Some of you have coworkers, cousins, friends. And all you need to do to make independence happen is take those people and take responsibility for them. Okay? Say, my wife, my husband, my parents, my cousins, I'm going to find out where they stand on independence. And then I'm going to try to persuade the ones that don't support it, and I'm going to get the ones who do support it to vote. That's the whole project. That's all you need to do. Now you might say, well, that sounds a little daunting. Well, that's why we've made the Centurion Project. Okay? So what is the Centurion Project? Well, if you sign up at thecenturionproject.ca, one of our Centurions, we now have 500, will contact you and get you onboarded. Onboarded means you go on to our website, you log in, and you search for the people you know, and you claim them. That's it. And then you will have a list of who you know, and then the only thing we ask you to do with that is survey them and find out if they support independence or not. That's it. And once you've identified that, you keep that list, and once we get close to the referendum, your job is to get them to vote. Now, I want to walk you through how crazy this is, okay? Door knocking. How many people here have door knocked before? Okay? Would it be fair to say that a good door knocker can hit 20 to 25 doors in an hour? Does everyone agree with that? And how many of those doors would get answered? Half? Maybe less? And, I mean, if you're a pretty girl, more doors get answered. If you're not, less do. That's just the truth. But I don't get very many doors answered. But if you're lucky, an hour of door knocking will result in 3 to 4 IDs. So an hour of your time gets you 3 to 4. I know this for a fact. Phone calling, currently, the cost of an ID is $12. When you sign up for the Centurion Project, it will take you less than 15 minutes to identify 10 people. That's worth at least 2 hours, probably closer to 5 hours of door knocking, and it is worth $120 to the independence movement. Okay? This is the most effective way I have ever come across to win a campaign. And I'm going to give you one more interesting piece of data. So I got this idea long ago. I was like, in fact, if any of you guys were at my speeches when I went around the province before the 2023 election, what did I say? I said, find 10 people, get them to vote. If they're a young person, they're worth, if they've never voted before, I said all these things, right? And I said, if you get an NDP person to switch, that's worth 2, right? But here's the thing. I was saying that, and I had no idea if any of you did it, right? Now we have a way of accountability. But more than that, I can't see who you claim. Even I, who made this whole product, I can't see who you claim. Only you know who you claimed. It's your list. It belongs to you. Okay? None of the admins, nobody who has control of the site, nobody in Alberta can see who you've claimed. It's your list. You take responsibility for it. But the people that created this technology, I met them on the Tucker Tour in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and they were a sponsor. They put $50,000 into the VIP so that they could promote their app. And when I first heard about it, I was so blown away that I used every piece of social capital that I had with Tucker to get him to endorse it on stage. He endorsed it on stage. They tracked what he did, like how many people signed up, and it resulted in 86,000 people who were non-voters, so people who voted less than 50% in elections, voting. And if you go look at the margin that Trump got, it was not very far off that in Michigan. I was blown away. I was blown away by what this can do, but there's a few other things that are important. We are going into an age where people are going to trust what's going on the internet less and less, okay? AI slop is everywhere now. People aren't even writing their own posts. People are losing faith in the digital world. We are moving to a place where people are going to want to be gathering together, and they're going to care more about their relationships, and they're not going to trust the things they're seeing or reading online because they could have been completely made up. And in that world, how are political parties and political movements going to reach people? They're not going to reach them over the phone. They're not going to reach them over the door, and they've lost social media. They're going to reach them through you. The future of politics, I say this as someone who's been campaigning my whole life, is interpersonal campaigning, which means you taking responsibility for the people in your life. You getting the message to them. Now, this Centurion Project and this particular project that we're on for independence, yeah, it's for independence because, and I can make all the arguments, but I think probably most of the people in this room have heard the arguments for why we need to be independent. I haven't heard very many good arguments for why we shouldn't. The biggest argument for why we shouldn't, but I still kind of love Canada. You don't love Canada, you love what Canada was. What Canada is horrible. There was recently a case where an elderly man didn't want to care for his elderly wife anymore, and so they killed her. Without her permission. Maid, right? Another one, young lady was depressed. Still in the prime of her life, but she was depressed, so they killed her. They're offering it to homeless people. They're just wanting to cut the costs on the medical system, right? That's just one example. I can give you endless examples of why Canada doesn't share your values anymore. But I don't want to just spend my time attacking Canada tonight. What I want to do, I already do that on X all day, so what could we build? I want you to imagine that you are the people, that you remember this meeting for the rest of your life because you went out and built a nation. Do you know how rare that is? Do you know how few people get to do that? And you, if you're the one showing up, if you want to have a say in what that nation looks like, you have to show up. You have to do the work. But here's the thing. A lot of you have families. A lot of you have jobs. You're busy. You got a lot going on. You don't have a lot of time. We need 15 minutes. If you give 15 minutes of your time, you will have done more than people who go out door knocking and phone calling. Because the odds that if you call someone you know and tell them to vote, that they'll vote, is about 4 to 5 times higher than if a random person calls them. Yeah, and it just takes less time. But on top of that, let's say you're like, you know what? I want to put more than 15 minutes into the independence movement. Well, then you can become an ambassador of the Centurion Project, and all that means is you get your own link that you can send to people, and they sign up, and you see that they sign up. You can't see who they've claimed. It's not a multi-level marketing company. You don't get points for how many people you've signed up. But if you sign up 10 people, on average, when a person signs up, they claim 14 people, and they do 10 surveys. So you getting 10 people means that you 10x what you've done. Okay? And then, if you want to go even further, and I'm looking for this tonight, so come up to me afterwards, put on these meetings. Because we're not going to just get enough people by going online or sending out emails or doing texts or door knocking or anything. The only way that we're going to get the number of people that we need using this app to get the IDs that we need is if you invite your friends to hear about it. Now, don't invite all your friends. This is not a persuasion campaign at this point. This is the people you know who want independence, right? People you know, and here's the thing. It sounds like more than 300,000 Albertans have signed the petition for independence. 300,000, right? It might be higher, I don't know. We'll find out on Monday, right? But 300,000 people is a lot of people. In order to pull this off, by September, we need 18,900 on this app. If we have 18,900 people, all they will have to do is each recruit 10, and we will identify 1.89 million Albertans, and with that, we should be able to identify the full number of people that we need. That's the plan. It's very simple. If you go on the app, you're going to realize just how easy it is. And we can do it. It will work. The only way it works, though, is if you do your part. I can't survey 1.89 million. The cost of that over the phone would be over $13 million. And also your returns go down because there's some people who just don't answer the phone, right? The number of hours that you would have to spend door knocking, there's not that many people willing to door knock. This is the only path to hit the IDs that we need. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't be part of other groups. You don't have to be only loyal to the Centurion Project, okay? You don't have to be only loyal to APP or only loyal to Stay Free Alberta either. The left has never been so stupid as to say we only need one group. They have a group for everything. They have a group for animal rights. They have a group for the environment. They have the group for the alphabet people. They have a group for everything, right? Why do we think on the right, well, we should only have one group? Why can't we just have one leader? The left doesn't do that, and that's why they're winning. We are lazy, and we just want one person to tell us what to do because we actually don't care about politics. We care about family and our businesses and our lives. We just want to live, right? They truly believe what they believe. They are not the majority anywhere, but they're better organized than we are. And the reason they're better organized isn't because they have some great leader. Do you really think Nenchi's some great leader? Have you seen how his face looks lately? Like the guy, obviously, he can't even lead himself, right? No, it's because they have so many groups that it trains people to be organized. So get out of your head this idea that there should only be one organization and you can only be loyal to one organization, and your identity has to be attached to one organization. But also, this takes 15 minutes. You could do this at night on your phone. I sometimes just sit there and I'm like, oh, I just talked to that person. Boom, click, claimed, surveyed. Right? And usually, if you know the person, you already know where they stand. You don't even have to ask them. Right? Take responsibility. Because citizenship has lost its value, and that's why we are where we are. They're giving them out like candy now. And do you know what a citizenship represents to the people coming here? Welfare. From you. From your tax dollars. And the reason that this has happened is because you thought that if you just elected the right politician, they would do what you wanted. It's not actually going to work. But what will work is if we start taking citizenship seriously. So that's what the Centurion Project is about. I want to be clear, the Centurion Project is not ending when independence ends. We want to build communities all over this province and teach people to be better citizens. This is just the tool or the project or the mission that we're on right now, and I find that people learn best when they're doing things. So I want to use this to make us better citizens. But here's the thing, okay? Brexit was a miracle. Does everyone remember what happened? It was insane. Nobody thought it was going to happen, and then they won. If you want to watch a movie that will change your view of politics, and write this down if you need to, it's called Brexit: The Uncivil War. At the end of that movie, nothing changes. They get, and the establishment just takes over right again. The people rise up, they say they want to leave, And now they're seeing worse mass immigration than they've ever seen. And the number one issue on voting was immigration. If you just vote and then think, well, now we're an independent country, everything's going to be better, things will get worse. But if you become citizens and you take your society seriously and your role as a citizen as a responsibility, everything will change. So thank you for your time. I hope to see you we have Zoom calls every Thursday at 7 p.m. We're going to do it till the very end. Please join us. Please bring people. We teach people how to go on the app. We have speakers come and talk about what they're doing. Last week we had a pastor from Grand Prairie who'd never done anything political, put on a debate, 200 people showed up. Do something. That's what the Centurion Project is all about. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, David. As you can see, David is on a mission. Events like this are going to happen all over Alberta, and he's going to do smaller events where it's just 20 people at a house. There are expenses associated with events like this, so we're going to do a shout out for donations right now. We'll start here at the front of the room at the stage. I've got a couple of volunteers. They're going to bring some buckets around. If you believe in this project, then please donate and give so we can cover our costs from tonight and cover the costs of David crisscrossing the province, visiting people in big rooms like this and in smaller rooms where it's just 20 people at a time or even just 10 because not everybody's comfortable with the big events. So if you're a believer in the Centurion Project, we ask you to take a moment to give whatever's in your heart. Another thing, before we move on to our next presenters, another thing to take note of is that there are some flyers around the room. So you may have found one on your seat or on a nearby seat. Make sure when you leave tonight, you take that flyer with you. It's got very helpful information on it. It's got the Centurion Project website, which is the centurionproject.ca. It's got the QR code so you can register for the Zoom calls every Thursday at 7 p.m. It's also got a QR code for the Centurion Project resources. So make sure you take one of these home with you when you're on your way out at the end. We still have 2 more presenters, and then we have a question and answer period. And we welcome your questions, whether you're a supporter of the Centurion Project or not, whether you're a supporter of the Alberta independence movement or not. We welcome your questions, and we'll have at least 3 panelists up here to do their best to answer your questions. Now, if for some reason you don't get to leave with one of these flyers tonight, then make sure you take a picture of the posters up on the wall. The flyers are available there. So if somehow you didn't get your hands on one, take this information with you. Something else to keep in mind is we will have more events in Edmonton with the Centurion Project. There's already one booked for June, and one booked for July, and one booked for August. If and when you believe in this movement, help it grow. Bring in other believers and supporters, and we can make massive things happen. So thank you to everyone who donated. We really appreciate you. If you couldn't donate today and you want to donate at a later date, visit that website, thecenturionproject.ca. By the way, there's a contact number on the flyer as well. You can phone in and give more information. Now, our next presenter, you might recognize from the Lavine show. And he's actually got a table set up here. And later on, when everything ends, you'll have time to go to that table and check out those products. He's got a book there called Bearing Witness, the ethical, legal, and practical guide to recording and sharing history. He's got hats and t-shirts and patches that read Republic of Alberta. Jason is a true self-starter citizen and an independent journalist, host of the Lavine Show. He has skyrocketed to a leading voice in Alberta's independence conversation. Jason has become known for his deep dive analysis of Alberta's political landscape and his unflinching take on the overreach of the Canadian federal government. He believes that whether Alberta stays or goes, Canadians need a new generation of leaders organized at the community level. Jason will be presenting on how he became a skilled community organizer and how you can too. Please welcome Jason Lavigne.
Thank you very much. I didn't write that, so thank you very much. I appreciate that. And maybe more Alberta leadership, maybe not so much Canada. I've kind of lost faith after the last election. How many people here heard about this event on X? Facebook? The CBC? It's kind of funny, but it's kind of my point here, because communication is very important. I was going to spend 10 minutes talking about margarine, so thanks, Daryl. I appreciate it a lot. I'm just a guy out in the middle of nowhere. My name's Jason Lavigne, father of two, husband of one, and I'm going to keep it that way. And when you get into something like this, that's kind of part of the relationships that get sacrificed. Hanging out with my kids, spending time with my wife. These are kind of things that you have to understand when you get out there to fight, that you're going to have to say goodbye to your home for a little bit. Sometimes it's just a few hours, a couple days, weeks, and if you're covering a Coots trial, months away from your family. Because frankly, we need to have conversations and get this stuff out there. With over 800 interviews under our belt now for our show, we have listened to a lot of people. And I'm going to quote one of the great minds, philosophers of our time, Judge Judy. You got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You should be listening. So when you're going out there to have conversations, I would encourage you to build that skill set. A lot of us want to stand up and speak our mind. We had a good gentleman here that did that, and I applaud him for that, because people want to be heard. They want their message to get out there. But this next phase, I think what's most important is to listen, because the people you're going to be talking to want to be heard. And one of the things I learned as I've been traveling across Alberta, having these conversations, presenting speakers like Marty, who's up next, people want to be heard. We had 2 gentlemen from First Nations come to one of our events in Red Deer, sat right in the front row, and said, here, I want to talk to you about what I think is necessary. Come talk to us. We want to be heard. So we did. We're like, okay, let's chat. And what it turns out is we're all the same. We're looking for self-determination. We want to take care of our families. We want to leave something for the next generation. We want to make sure our grandchildren, great-grandchildren have a prosperous future. It doesn't matter if you have a treaty number or a social insurance number or whatever. We're all the same. And he wanted to be heard. We hear that all the time. That's why there's going to be a Q&A portion at the end of this, because we don't want to present to you all night. We want to listen to what you have to say. And one of the things that you're going to learn pretty quickly is we're very different. We may have a mission, the same goal, but what's important to us is different. Why we're doing it is different, and how we're going to get there will be different. And part of the challenges is sometimes, because we're conservatives and we like to hold people accountable, and we're not afraid to hold each other accountable, it causes friction, division, fracturing. And I actually prefer that. What David was talking about was the other side. They'll stay together in a group, but they also do it at any cost. No morals, no ethics. They'll just do whatever in order to get the job done. This is why I like our side, because we will hold each other accountable. Now, some people say leaders are born. Could be true. Some leaders are created. Maybe. But I think the best leaders are forged, which means they've jumped in the fire, taken some hits, and some of the best ones spar with others. You probably heard iron sharpens iron. That's what we're at. And that's why I think it's important that we express ourselves, but we also listen. Having conversations in this next phase of the independence talk needs to be calm, rational, intelligent, and most importantly, truthful. I have had conversations with people where they said at the beginning of the night they weren't sure, or even leaning towards status quo, because change is scary. But when I have conversations with them and tell them the truth, and I don't mean, the talking points that we've all heard 1,000 times. I'm talking about the truth. What currency are we going to have? I don't know. What are we going to do about trade? I don't know. What about the pensions? I hope it works out. Well, why don't you have all the answers? Because I'm telling you the truth. There's going to be a lot of uncertainty. And if anybody tells you they have all the answers, be cautious. Because the truth is, we've never done this before. We being any province in Canada. Will the Clarity Act hold up? Will we have consent? Will the House of Commons recognize a majority vote? Are we going to get stuck in the Supreme Court? Are they just going to ignore us? Is our own leader going to ignore us? And I'm talking about the Premier there. We don't know. Will we be recognized by other countries? Will there be a UN involvement? What about NATO? We have a lot of questions we don't know the answer to. But how many people here knew what their child was going to be, how many children they would have, and what kind of spouse they would marry? That's what I expected. But would you stop having children because you don't know how it's going to turn out? No. I like to say sometimes that we're going through a divorce because we've been abused and we can do it on our own. It's time to leave. But I also want to look at it as we're giving birth to a new nation. There's going to be some trauma for the baby and for the mother and for the father and everybody else involved. We don't know. Is this going to be an Olympic athlete? Going to be an accountant? An engineer? Work on the pipelines like Marty? Who knows? But we still do it because it's exciting to see what can come out of the sacrifices made. Remember your first child? How many of you had a child? Remember your first one? Was that scary? It was wonderful, but it was scary. You got drunk. I was sleeping, and they woke me up. And they're like, it's time. I'm like, okay, great. Let's do this. But the first child, we were very careful, like this little thing to protect. And this is a little mini me. And then when you got your second child, it's like, oh, it's sleeping. Oh, it's awake. A little bit less. And if you have 3 or 4, oh, cool. They're still growing just like the other ones. The whole point is the first one is always a scary one because you're not sure what's going to happen. How are they going to turn out? Are they going to vote Liberal? You got to let them make their own mistakes, right? But when you're getting out there to have these conversations, and as David said, we have leaders, but we don't need one leader. And he said on the Sean Newman podcast the other day, and I thought it was very wise, we have lots of generals. We have lots of warriors and soldiers. But now we need the officers, the ones that can talk to the soldiers, talk to the warriors, take guidance from the generals, and get out there and build their communities, take ownership of their little group, and ensure that they have these conversations. So if people are uncertain what's going to happen to their future, let them know, so are you. But you're excited. You're not scared. Why should we be scared? We're birthing a nation. This year, 250 years ago, the U.S. did the same thing. Do you think they were worried about how we get in our tea? Where's our whiskey coming from? How are we going to enter markets? Why is everybody running to Canada that wants to be loyalists? It's probably a good thing for them, but not so much for us. But it's time. It's time to have the real, hard, honest truth, hard conversations, keep it calm, use both ears and one mouth to share the truth. And you will. You will take some hits. Some conversations will be tough. Some relationships will be strained. In fact, maybe some of them will end. But that's iron sharpening iron. You're getting stronger. You may make some mistakes. You may stutter on stage. The comedian may take your jokes. You just keep going. You just keep going. Because I am very passionate about this movement, not because I think we're going to separate easily, not because I think the Clarity Act is clear, it's anything but, and not because I think someone has all the answers and are going to step up and lead us into victory. I'm excited about this is because this is our chance to do it ourselves. Bake your own bread, cure your own meat, and build your own future. So what I'm going to ask everybody to do is go ahead and check out the Centurion Project, get yourself signed up, put a couple bucks in the bucket to keep this thing going, and go ahead and share this link out. And I also want to thank Max for doing this as well. There's very few people that just jump into their car and go and spend their own gas and fix their own cylinders and build their own table of stuff. He knows to get this done. And all of you can do the exact same thing. So thank you all for being here tonight. You're all lovely people. I love you all very much, and God bless.
Thank you, Jason. We have another presenter, and then we're going to go to the Q&A session. At some point, there'll be opportunity for you to check out Jason's table, the Lavine show, and there's a table next to it, too, selling tallow, skincare. Oh, it's way better than your average body lotion, so check that out. Selling products is one of the ways these people keep going with their good work. Now, our next presenter is Marty. You may already be familiar with him, Marty Up North. He's one of Alberta's most recognized grassroots advocates. He served as a canvasser for the petition and had some adventures there. From the front lines of the freedom movement, he brings the perspective of someone who knows what it takes. He knows what it takes to get the job done, and he knows what it takes to organize others. He's going to bring a lot of what we've heard all together. Please welcome Marty.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to try and bring it all together, but I'm also going to weave a story. But before we go there, don't be shy about this question. Answer it honestly, okay? Who here signed the petition? Wow. Okay, cool. That's pretty much everybody. Didn't expect that, because in most places it's a lot lower than that. Which I think answers my second question. I've been talking, you know, for the last few months, I've been talking about the value of independence and trying to promote independence, but I think we're kind of past that. But I just want to know, who here is for independence? Okay, so you guys, so this is a sold audience. We're not going to sell you on independence. You've already made up your mind. So yeah, good. Thank you. Round of applause. So So the path to independence, right? I just want to repeat a couple of things because it's important, right? So we need a referendum. So to get the referendum, we needed 177,000 signatures. We're there, but I'm going to come back and talk about that because I thought getting 177,000 signatures was going to be easy. Turns out it wasn't. So if getting the 177,000 signatures was hard, I'm going to repeat what David said. To win independence, there's approximately 3 million eligible electors in this province. So let's say there's a great turnout and 80% of them come out. So that's 2.4 million people. And do we want just a majority? Perhaps, which would be 1.2 million, right? So you see where I'm going. So we need 1.2, 1.3, maybe 1.4 million people to... And something weird happens when you're in that box and you got those 3 walls around those cardboard walls and you're looking down and you're checking off. And by the way, when you are checking that off, pause and take in that moment, right? Like you guys here, I think you're all going to check off yes, pause, consider it, record the moment in your head. But for most people, there could be a little hesitation. It's a big move. So we got to get 1.5 million people. So that's the task. Now, I was a canvasser. Who else was a canvasser? Oh, awesome. At first, I hesitated to be a canvasser because I do have a big presence online, and I was worried that maybe something would happen to me that kind of happened to David in the past, which is kind of happening outside right now. Apparently, there's some police officers here, and there's somebody from Elections Alberta, right? So we get harassed. So I did not want to voluntarily step up as a canvasser at first because I thought I might get harassed. And I thought I could do a better job of just promoting and helping out. So I started going to events. And again, nothing. I love Mitch Sylvester. I've been not in as many meetings as David, but I've been in many meetings with Mitch. We've strategized together. We've talked together. We've shared beers together. I love the man, and we do owe him a debt of gratitude because what he did is incredible. And the meeting that David was talking about, I know about that one. That was in Valley View. Mitch, I think it was in January, went from Bonnyville, drove to Valley View for a meeting in a snowstorm, and when he showed up there was not 5 but 3 people at the event. But Mitch did it. But so I don't want to criticize what Mitch has done, but I just want to be very pragmatic. So I showed up at these events where we're canvassing to lend my support, and right away I'm like, oh boy, what's going on here, right? I thought it was going to be easy. It wasn't easy. In the beginning, we had a lot of people show up, and then Mitch recruited a ton of volunteers, but it became quickly apparent that the volunteers, he didn't know how to organize them, and that's why I stepped in. So I got my badge to canvas. My badge number was 25-C10-03364. I signed that number 150 pages. I collected 750 signatures, but that was a huge effort. And there's somewhere on the wall, David said it, Jason said it, Tim said it, we got to lead by example. That's something I've done my whole life, is leading by example. But leading by example in my world, when I worked in the oil patch, you guys would have all worked for me, so I could sort of tell you what to do and lead at the same time. But when it comes to elections and voters, you guys don't work for me, you don't work for anybody, and so we have to lead by example and recruit you guys to help us with this task, because we need to identify these 1.5 million people so that on election day, we can make sure we all connect through our own little networks and contact the people that we've found and make sure they get out and vote, because the other side is going to do the same thing. And so that's where the Centurion Project comes in. And I won't get into, I mean, we have a lot of meetings to talk about this. I won't get into the details, but I just want to keep repeating. I spent more than that. I did 45 days sitting on the side of the road collecting signatures. Okay? 45. And on average, with my wife, my beautiful wife, who knows my wife's name, by the way? Most people know my wife's name because, okay. So me and Karen spent 45 days, on average, 4 or 5 hours a day. So think about that. 40 days times 5 hours, that's 200 hours. In Nova Scotia, I would have qualified for EI for the next 6 months, right? But I volunteered to do it. But I'm telling you, so 750 signatures, 1,500 signatures between the two of us in 200 hours. That's 7 signatures an hour. Do the math to get to the 1.5 million. We're not going to get there. I'm not going to get there collecting signatures. And again, Mitch has this beautiful army of people. We had 7,000 canvassers. And we're good. And David, by the way, David, you're off by a digit. We need 180,000 people to find 10, but we're gonna do it with 18,000 people, who will find 10, and then each of those people will find another 10. And that's when it gets really cool, right? So we're basically building the biggest Facebook network imaginable to connect personally to everybody we know. So that's what we're doing. And so I'm here because I wanted to lead by example. I went and did the canvassing, and I learned firsthand from experience just how difficult it is to canvass and to go door knocking. And David didn't find me, I found him. So I believe in what he's trying to do. I believe in what he did in the past, but I totally believe in what he's trying to do now, because the goal is too important. It's existential. If we don't separate, this could be our last chance, because after this, either our own government will change the rules, or I'm more worried that Ottawa will change the rule and make separation a friendly, legal, transparent separation almost impossible in the future. So we get one chance at doing this, and we have to do it properly, and we need everybody's support to do it. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm behind the message. Thanks, everyone. She says it was quick. I think the questions that come after are more important than me talking. It's the questions that you guys have that are important.
Okay.
Actually, I'll add one last thing. Sorry, one last thing. I did work in industry for a long time, and I did some big projects, right? So I worked on Keystone. I worked on some really big projects. But one of the kinds of projects that I used to work on that I really enjoyed, and they used to happen around this time of year, are what are called turnarounds, right? I used to work in large gas plants in Edson, Fox Creek, places like that. And a turnaround is when you shut down the plant for about 3 weeks and do a ton of work and then start it up again. And we plan turnarounds for months. Like it's crazy planning, and then all of a sudden you execute. And during the planning, I remember one time we were doing the planning, and I had a young lady named Annie, and she was stressed out. Like, she just couldn't see past the turnaround. It was too complicated for her. And she was doing a great job of organizing it and everything else, but it was stressing her out. And I think of the independence kind of in the same way. Some people have a hard time seeing what the future would look like. So what I told Annie one day is I said, Annie, do you think you're going to sit around... Do you think July 1st is going to come around? She's like, yeah. I'm like, do you think you're going to sit in your backyard on July 1st and crack a beer with your husband and have a good time? She's like, yeah. I'm like, cool. Well, what do you think you're going to think about on July 1st when you ponder back on the turnaround? She's going to say, and she said, well, it'll be behind me and it'll have happened. I'm like, exactly. So today, don't worry about the turnaround, worry about what you can control. Don't worry too much about the future. We will get there. So, and it's the same thing for independence. Don't get hung up on the total details. It does take a bit of a leap of faith to get there, but we will get there.
I know what I'm going to be doing July 1st. I'm going to celebrate my last Canada Day. Before we get to the question and answer period, I have a couple of announcements for you, some dates for you to take note of. So if you have a pen and paper or you have your phone handy, mark these dates in your calendar. What's happening is the Centurion Project is coming back to Edmonton with some big events. There'll be a super big event on May 30th, and the theme of that event is Women for Independence, and that event will be done town hall style. So that's May 30th. So mark that day, pencil it in, and even though it says Women for Independence, men are welcome, of course. The rule is you got to bring a woman with you. So if you don't have one, find one, okay? Bring them in here so they can hear what's going to be shared. On June 24th, we have some special guest presenters, and the theme at the June 24th meeting for the Centurion Project is Indigenous Perspectives on Independence. So I'm sure you're as curious as I am about Indigenous perspectives, so mark that date on your calendar, June 24th, so come and hear what our guests that day have to share. The last date to mark on your calendar is August 12th, and that's going to be a risk discussion. Should we stay or leave? Should we stay or leave? A risk discussion, and that's on August 12th. So those dates were May 30th, June 24th, and August 12th. And now I'd like to invite Edmonton Centurion Emmett up for a few words, and then we'll get to that Q&A. Please welcome Emmett, the coordinator of this event.
I didn't know I was going to speak until like 5 minutes ago, and I just had 10 cop cars pull up and chat with the cops. We are targeted because we have the capability to make a serious difference, and the other side is extremely afraid. It's not just them that are extremely afraid. I'm extremely afraid. And we all need to also be extremely afraid because of history. Once people's firearms are taken, once the surveillance state is in, we are all total slaves. 100 years ago, the Americans took all of the guns of the Sioux indigenous peoples for their safety. Later that same day, 300 men, women, and children were executed in cold blood. Cambodia, guns taken, massacres for people who disagreed with the state. We have lost God, we have lost ourselves, and the state has taken our place. This is our opportunity to retake our souls. In communist China, I call it West Taiwan, if you know history, they have this concept called the Walking Dead. Currently, what they are doing is they're taking political prisoners and they're taking indigenous peoples such as, I'm tired, I'm drawing a blank, the Uyghur Muslims, yes, Falun Gong practitioners. They are being strapped to beds with razor wire, so if they move, they bleed. They are having their organs harvested while they are alive without anesthesia because of their disagreements with the government. These are all things that we may face in the next 10, 15, 20 years. Who knows when, but based on the trends of the past, and the cycles that we've seen, the warnings that communist defectors such as Yuri Bezmenov, look him up on YouTube, have warned us, we are entering the irreversible trail towards our own slavery. We must do everything in our power to stop this. We all know the own nothing and be happy crowd, right? We are not them, but they are people too. They genuinely mean well. They feel like that is the solution. They don't understand the consequences of history when you mean well and you have a gun and they don't. Because when someone disagrees, they will be silenced one way or another. And if they're totally defenseless, stuff like what I could describe can happen. Like I said, this was totally unscripted, and I wanted to share my fears and what motivates me. So I genuinely believe the price is my life for my freedom, and I beg you to do the same. Thank you.
Thank you, Emmett. I roped him in because we were slightly ahead of schedule, so I invited him up here to say a few words. He's our leader here in Edmonton. Anybody who signs up in Edmonton signs up under Emmett, and I'm happy to. I'm happy to work for such a fine gentleman. So let's give him an extra round of applause. So now what's going to happen is we're inviting 4 panelists up to the stage, and this is the time when you get to challenge them with your questions. Now the format for questions is 30 seconds. Unfortunately, we can't hear your life story. You just have 30 seconds to share. And so as you're thinking about the question you'd like to ask or how you'd like to challenge any of our panelists, Instead of a long drawn-out question, condense it to 30 seconds. Now's a good time to jot down little notes. But in the meantime, let's welcome our panelists. Let's give them a warm welcome.
Four beards. Look at that. Calling Tim. Tim coming up. Scooch.
Do it live.
6 feet apart, folks. Too soon? Can't be too soon. 1 minute. Count them down.
I just need to see everybody on the camera. I think we're doing good. So the timer is over there. So
Red.
Nothing, we'll just pass this.
Yeah. Is that for the audience? She's got one? We can pass this around, Max.
It's fine.
Okay, you're good.
Yeah, we're good. It ensures one person speaking at a time.
Do we have any questions? Where do people want to line up to do questions?
I'm thinking the center. Does that work for you?
Yeah, so everyone can line up at the back center, kind of by where the cameras are already set up. No, at the very back, Dale, please.
Okay, Emmett prefers we line up back over here, so come line up, Dale. I'll put you at the front of the line if you come right now. This is going to be our lineup spot right here.
Are you here for the bride or
So-
the groom?
Does anybody have a privilege card? You can go first. I'm just kidding. I want those in opposition to go first. So, all right. So there's a 30-second countdown. Here we go with the first question.
So 30 seconds isn't much. First of all, when is the app going to be ready to run? I've looked online, it's not there.
It is definitely there.
On my phone, I'm saying tonight. So it's ready
Oh, it's
to run
not an
now?
app that you could download. It's just a browser.
Okay.
So it's just a website. But
Good
it's
enough.
called it's the Centurion Project.app.
Does that count as part of my question because he's answering?
I'll give you 30 bonus seconds.
Okay, perfect. You know that I was involved with TBA, and you know what the problems were there as far as not supporting the people, not having an infrastructure available. It sounds like you're moving in the direction that we discussed a long time ago about getting an infrastructure. Explain to me, the ramp up is 5 months. Explain to me how that works.
Well, it's all multiplication. So we have 500 users on the app right now. Hopefully this room results in another 500 is our hope. It's up to you, ultimately. Like, there's not going to be a better way to do this. In fact, I think the fact that the cops have already shown up is proof that they're pretty scared. And I think we need to understand that they're not showing up at other meetings, right? Because the other meetings are not effective. They're scared of this. And that's gonna, they're coming for me. And I need you guys to fight. Because, we'll see what happens. But they're obviously scared.
Next question.
Hang on, I just want to add to that real quick, right? So the people that use the app are not just the people here, right? So we found, let's say, 100 people so far who signed up. I have people that I signed up who did 10 surveys and they found somebody else. So word of mouth. So and then that, I'm not at 3 levels yet, but I'm almost there. So I got people that I found, they found 10 people, and I'm about to see them find somebody. So it can grow really, really fast. 10 times 10 is 100, times 10 is 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million, right? 6 generations and it's at 1 million.
Yeah, the engineer knows what he's talking about.
Hi, guys. Well, I know the passion in my heart why I want separation, but I get a little nerve-wracked when I think I might have to be talking to somebody who doesn't. And I'm wondering, at the Centurion Project, is there support or kind of like a playbook that will help give me and everyone talking points so that we can get our point across in a very convincing way.
Thank you for your question. We are all quite nervous when we're doing this at first. And if you are nervous, what we could do is invite you to have a house party, invite your friends over, and we can do the talking too. Because a lot of us can get lost in analysis paralysis, where we're thinking of every piece of information we can come up with to answer any possible answer. And we get lost in that analysis paralysis. So what I suggest is start by talking to 1 or 2 people that are very close to you. And by doing, you will get the confidence and you'll get better at it. You can also recommend them to YouTubers like Keith Wilson, to Alberta Prosperity Project.
Jason Lavine.
Jason Lavine. Yes, of course, Jason Lavine.
So there's tons of stuff online. The one that I would go to that has like the easiest answers is the Rise of Alberta on either Facebook or on X. They've got graphics, they've got everything. It's amazing. So like there's tons of information there, but I think Emmett's point's really important, okay? You're gonna learn by doing. So start having the conversation. So a lot of people don't know, like when I met Mitch, he'd never done anything in politics before. And I said, Mitch, I will teach you everything I know. And for 3 years, we would have an hour-long conversation every single day. And the thing that I told him over and over again is, how do you get good at something? You do it over and over and over and over again. I said, Mitch, if you hold 100 meetings, you will be able to give a speech that captures the room for the entire time. He did 100 meetings, so have 100 conversations. And here's the funny thing about these conversations. You are not going to find 100 different arguments against separation. You're going to find 7, 8. People are not that unique. And once you've encountered the same argument 4 or 5 times, you'll have an answer, and it will just come to you like that. People are not as complicated as they seem. So, I mean, I've given 400 speeches now in Alberta over the last 4 years. I'm not encountering questions very often that I've never heard anymore. They're always the same question, sometimes from Dale, right? but just make sure that you do it, you practice, right? That's important, is just have the conversations. And if you're like, oh, that one didn't go well, that's okay. That's how you learn. Don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And every time that it doesn't go well, don't beat yourself up. Say, okay, what did I learn from that? How can I do better next time?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hello, testing, okay. Thank you for what you guys are doing. And to add to that about don't beat yourself up, I've talked at City Hall and that a number of times. You look in the mirror and you practice your speech, because then you can see and you can record it and listen to yourself, and you will get better. That's guaranteed. And you'll be so confident, you'll be so amazed, And anyway, okay, fine.
Go ahead with the question.
Seconds. Thank you. So the app, what's to say some other, I'll say lefties or whatever you want to call them, decide to get on this and put names in, won't that skew the numbers?
So we see all the users that come on, and if we see someone in there entering a bunch and one of the Centurions hasn't brought that person in, we just delete their account.
Good one. Thank you so much.
30 seconds.
Good evening. Mitch and Jeff have mentioned that they expect the court ruling will be that this process is unconstitutional and are preparing an appeal. But number one, an appeal could extend past October 19th, and number two, given the Premier's position, that gives her an out. Any thoughts on what a plan B might be?
Quickly, that part. If you listen closely to what the Premier said during that press conference about the Alberta Referendum 2026 website, she was very clear that Thomas Housakis is a legal, validated petition that leads to a referendum. So that might be the plan B. We'll see. And wouldn't that be something?
You wanna speak to that?
I'll just add to that there is the plan B is a premier can call a referendum whenever she wants. So if the premier decides that she doesn't want to follow the will of the people, then we'll Jason Kenney her.
Lukaszik's question is unconstitutional.
It can be changed by the Premier before it hits a referendum. And it was asking for a referendum on whether Alberta should stay in Canada forever. It can be modified quickly. But the most important thing is 400,000 people wanted a referendum question. What it is, we'll find out if it gets to that stage. I still feel confident that the ruling's going to be in the favor of the respondents, so Mitch and his team. I believe that there is no unconstitutional decision coming, but that's my belief.
During the pandemic, when we were trying to get rid of Jason Kenney, we were stonewalled, blocked. They did everything in their power to stop us. But we wanted it enough that we were able to get through all the hurdles. As David says, what is in the way becomes the way. We are learning as members of the Centurion Project how to be grassroots organizers. So we find out who our friends are, because as we try to become leaders, we're going to be let down a lot. I've been told probably 20, 30 no's for each yes. This project will help us build our true friends and who's willing to do the work. And it's not going to matter what curveball they throw at us. If we want it badly enough, we can strategically coordinate to get ourselves a new premier, to take control of take control of constituency associations. There's numerous things that we could do. But as a committed grassroots movement, it's the will of the people, in the same way that the Freedom Convoy was just a natural event. Nobody planned it. Everyone just did their part, and the invisible hand did its thing.
Tanya Antipowicz here. God bless you all for the work you're doing on behalf of Albertans. Many new Canadians come to Alberta because they also value faith, freedom, and family. Any ideas on embracing our wonderful new Canadians who embrace these values?
So just a general comment. I've had lots of people, let me rephrase this. So sitting on the side of the road, collecting signatures, there wasn't one demographic that came and signed. I couldn't put my finger on it. I had older Canadians or Albertans, younger ones, racialized ones, First Nations, new immigrants, you name it. I had everybody. So there's not a single person who is a separatist. It's a broad swath. And a lot of people make the mistake, for instance, of looking at a room like this and saying, there's not a lot of young people in this room. There is, but that doesn't mean we're not reaching the young people. The young people, we don't reach them in events like this. We reach them on social media. And it's the same thing with, new Canadians. So they might not be in this room, but we are still reaching them in different venues. So don't make one room, don't equate one room with who's a separatist, because there's not a single demographic of who's a separatist.
So I have a lot of Sikh friends, I have a lot of Muslim friends. Take Back Alberta was not racialized, but here's something interesting for you. So one of my closest friends, he came to my son's baptism even though he's a Muslim, is a guy named Mahmoud Mora. And he was one of the leaders of the March for Children, the Million March for Children, if everybody remembers that, right? There are a lot of values that we share with minority communities, particularly people of faith, share a lot in common they are lied to constantly. So an RCMP officer called Makk before he had me speak at one of his events and told him that I hated him, that I would kill him if I had the opportunity, and that once I was done with the LGBT people, I would come for him. Right? There is a propaganda campaign against us towards these communities, but they're waking up pretty quickly because they really don't like the Canadian government. Right? They do not like what's happening. Now, we're not going to get all of them. Some are brainwashed, just like, you know, some boomers are brainwashed, lots of Gen Z's brainwashed. There's lots of people that have been brainwashed, right? But if we get to them through relationships, that matters to them even more than it matters to us. And that's why we want to use this methodology.
And I'll add a little piece to that. Several of my conversations have been with new Canadians who are escaping something, whether it's Venezuela or Ukraine or Eastern Europe. And they're seeing what they escaped from happening here. They see the signs, they see the concerns. First they remove your speech, then they remove your guns, and then they remove your ability to be mobile, et cetera, et cetera. And the most common thing they say to me, we even have a canvasser, Igor, right? Same story there. The one thing they say a lot is, I don't want to see that happen again. I escaped it. So they see where Canada's heading. They understand it. They're sharing it with us. They're like the canaries in the coal mine for a lot of people and saying, look, this is going to get a lot worse. You guys are a little bit asleep right now. This is going to get a lot worse. In fact, this is why we escaped where we came from to Canada. So they're in line with seeing Alberta take a republic path and get out from the current system that they see as just destroying all of us.
Thanks for having me. All right. So my question is, why are you guys so opposed to dialogue? Everybody who seems to disagree with you is exactly labeled as a liberal. I'm not a liberal. I'm a conservative.
Guys, let him speak. That's okay.
Marty specifically, we've talked about this before.
Max, can we restart the clock?
Yeah, let's let him speak.
To give him his full 30 seconds. Folks, we have a person here who isn't necessarily on the same page as the rest of us, and that's okay. I'm personally glad he's here. Can we give him a round of applause? And now we're going to give him his full 30 seconds uninterrupted. If you feel the need to interrupt, I suggest you step outside.
Thank you. So,
sorry. Max, can you restart the clock one more time? Sorry about that. Okay.
Let's give him the max time, okay?
yeah, no worries. Sorry, so the sentiment seems to be that if you disagree with independence, then you're just automatically written off as a liberal. And what I was going to say is, Marty, specifically online, you keep saying that I'm harassing canvassers in public. I don't feel that way. I feel like I'm trying to be involved in my community and have dialogue. And I can see why you guys are struggling so hard because we aren't having any dialogue. Charlie Kirk said, once we stop talking, that's when violence happens. I think you've experienced that yourself.
The panelists will respond.
Yeah, I mean, you're entitled to your opinion. I do think that what you do is harassment. But that's it. Otherwise, you're here. We let you in. You're free to talk. If you want to have a conversation with me afterwards, I'll have a conversation. You're going to accuse me of not having conversations. I'm here on stage. And before this meeting, I talked to anybody that wanted to talk to me. So you should look inwardly at yourself, man. The reason that people don't want to have a conversation with you is perhaps because of you. That's all.
I know of a great pastor in Grand Prairie who just had a great debate. His name is Nathan. He had both sides of the debate on the stage. It was a very productive conversation, and honestly, I think that needs to happen more, and I hope that the Centurion Project does have debates, and I think we will. I have no problem dialoguing with anyone online about these issues, and no, I don't think every one that's against independence is a liberal. I think a lot of them are deceived, is the truth. And I think we need to wake them up to the reality that Canada's dead. And if we stay with it, we will die with it. But no, I don't think everyone's a liberal. I think some people are just ignorant.
I personally don't know who you are. I mean, that's okay. I'm happy to have a conversation with you after. But I think what you did there is you generalized your position and you've blamed this entire group of not listening. And that's kind of the problem. That's what I was speaking about on my little speech there, is to have more listening. And I'd be happy to listen to what your concerns are. And I certainly don't think anybody that's anti-independence is necessarily a liberal. In fact, the majority of people in Alberta are conservatives, strong conservatives, but not a majority of people are there yet. So that means that many conservatives don't support independence. So I think what you did there with stepping up to the mic and expressing yourself was a great start. And this is exactly what I think these guys are trying to do, have these open mics and have these conversations. So I applaud you for standing up, and happy to talk to you after.
Shame on you that heckled him. We will fight for everyone's free speech, not what you disagree with. That makes us no better than them. And his smear about us calling them liberals, he's right. We need to do the research to know our history and not be so divided and closed-minded. By opening our minds to genuine dialogue, we can open up to having genuine conversations, left or right. There's a lot of stuff we agree on. We can come together and maybe change their minds. But if we're taking a step back and walling up, we lose. We need to be free and fair with our discussions so that we can change minds. And sometimes that's the risk of having our own mind changed. Tongue twister there. You know what I mean. But we need to also hash out our ideas when we discuss them. And I actually need gentlemen like him to keep me centered and grounded in what is true and what is right. The left does need the right. Sometimes one of us is wrong. This point in history, I think we're on the right side. And I look forward to these debates that happen all through October.
Thank you, gentlemen, for coming out tonight. Appreciate it. My question is just more on the project and this mission. I imagine it'll be the people that are in favor of independence will be willing to join and be ID'd and be a part of this program. But for the people that are on the fence or opposed to it, should I don't know, mention the mission and ask them if they want to be a part of and like be on this list so I can survey them, or should I just take the initiative and just claim them and then
Yeah, it's a good question. The purpose of the project is not to survey people, like going and asking them questions. It's to make you an organizer, right? And an organizer knows where his people stand, right? So it's your job. A campaigner, so every campaign that you've ever heard about, there's 3 buckets that people go into, right? There's supporter, non-supporter, undecided. So what I'm trying to do is make you a campaigner. So first, you got to identify, okay, who's supporter, who's non-supporter, who's undecided in your life, right? And then it's your job. Don't spend a lot of time trying to convince the non-supporters, right? That's not a good use of your time. And no campaigner does that. A campaigner says, okay, they're non-supporters, they're in this bucket. Undecided, those are the people they talk to try to persuade. The supporters, that's the people you try to get to vote. That's what every campaigner in the history of campaigning has always done. You need to become that in your life.
And just it's hard to explain some of this because we don't have a demo of the software, but when I joined when I got on the software the first time, it was easy for me to want to go and find 20 people, right? And when you ask and if I ask the question, if I ask to ask myself, is Bob pro-independence, then I shouldn't be selecting Bob because obviously I'm not well connected to Bob as much as I think. So I resisted the urge to find a bunch of people. I found 10 people that I knew well. I could have picked my wife's sister, my wife's brother, and I said no, because I made sure my wife became a Centurion and she picked those people. Because remember what we talked about, who's more effective at having a chat with you? Somebody who randomly calls you or phones you up or knocks on your door, or a friend or an acquaintance? So that's the power of this. So that's what once you're on board, you'll start to see it. You find 10 people, and then you find a person who then finds 10 more, and then we're engaging people through personal dialogue.
No, I don't have a beard, so I'm not allowed.
On to the next question.
Okay. The thing that comes to my head first, do you know who actually controls the oil fields? Though I like to ask, who's really controlling Alberta health? But we're not going to go there. I just came home from Texas. Well, Texas is where I grew up. All this news, you know, Iran war. What are we doing in Alberta to help us get the gas in our vehicles that is only initiated in Alberta?
Having an independence movement.
Yeah, like we need to be in control of our own resources, and right now we should be under the Constitution, right? Albertans own these resources, and they're trying to take them from us. And an independence movement is how we do that. If we don't have an independence movement, we will lose control of our resources. I'm not saying we have full control of them now. I understand that they're players, but if we don't have an independence movement, we will not gain control.
Got a couple more questions, and then I think we'll wrap up the Q&A unless somebody gets in the line within 30 seconds.
I just want to say thanks for putting this all on and making us more aware and giving us something to work towards. My question is kind of a 3 parts. Quickly, first and foremost, do you have a contingency plan to deal with the disinformation that's been put out by mainstream media to discredit this organization as well as other independent movements? Also giving us the term of separationists or whatever as opposed to independent seekers. Also to contend with AI, that's all these fake videos on there, it's discrediting us, this whole movement. So just do you have some contingency plan to deal with that?
Well, I spent the last 23 years in politics. I married a journalist. I know the media well. I talk to them frequently. We're not going to convince them to stop writing disinformation about us, but we have an amazing weapon called X that was given to us by Elon Musk when he bought Twitter. And Marty Up North is one of the loudest voices on there, louder than any media in Alberta, I'm pretty sure. People are not watching the mainstream media at the level that they were. That's how we fight back. But honestly, this project is my attempt to get underneath it, right? Because hearing something on the news and hearing something from someone you're related to or that you are deeply in a relationship with, like friendship or working with as a business partner, that person's going to have more of an impact on your decision making than a talking head, and progressively so as people lose faith in the media as things get worse across Canada, which they will. So I guess this is part of the contingency plan. As far as being attacked, I was slandered for 3 months in the lead up to the last provincial election, said that I was anti-women, anti-immigrant, anti-everything. I'm pretty used to it. I'm ready for this fight. I think Marty gets called names all the time online. So we're here. We're here to train people on how to handle that. But at the end of the day, right now, any publicity is good publicity, right? We want more people talking about it. And I'll tell you, more people joined Take Back Alberta because they were talking about me in the news every day than they ever would have if they weren't. So I kind of welcome it right now, to be honest. And then to your last point, which is what do we do about this, them calling us separatist versus the independence movement? That's just going to be a battle of words. And I don't know if you have social media account or if you're engaged on that kind of thing, but everybody's voice, if there's, like, we can drown them out. We can drown them out online. the mainstream media is getting so few views these days, right? I'm often ratioing global news on X, and like I don't even have that big of an account. So I think we're entering a new information ecosystem, and we need to fight with the tools that we have, and I think we can win.
I agree we can win. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I'd like to continue on what David was saying. Let's circle back to something that David said earlier. When we pick someone to be our leader, they lose. We lose, I mean. The contingency is you, and the contingency is me. People are going to throw insults at us all the time for stepping up for what we believe in. And we all have fear, but we can take a look at this fear that we have within and look at what we need to fear and what is the greater thing to fear. There's the fear of sitting back because you don't want to get called names. You don't want to get lawfare put against you. And then there's the fear of the future if we do nothing. So it's up to every single one of us to look at what's at risk here and make the decision that's right.
And take a look around. We got Critical Compass, we got Max, we got myself, we got our own media. And quite frankly, nobody's listening to the other one, especially inside Alberta. They're speaking to Canadians and trying to scare them, but they don't get a vote. Those are not people that get a vote. So I would say just ignore them, because I think what they're trying to do is engage us and take up our time and our valuable resources to try and fight against the crap that they're talking about. This whole thing about the AI podcasters has already been debunked. There's a bunch of Dutch organizations using AI to just clickbait and make some money on YouTube. It's not us, but they want us to engage that narrative, defend that narrative, argue that narrative. Let's not give them any oxygen. Let's focus and stay focused on our mission, and we'll have meetings like this. You can check out other podcasts and have coffee and conversations in your kitchen, and that's where the truth will come out. So that's how we'll counter some of that.
I agree. They can't take our will, and it's the will of the people that's going to win this. And I was a canvasser, and I had many young adults came that just turned 18, and they were excited to sign. So we got a demographic that can't be beat.
No question, just a comment. What do you think of that?
I've seen that too. The day they turned 18, they signed. And they were bragging. They're like, I'm the youngest signator on this thing. I'm like, you're probably right. Yeah, you're probably right.
I had 2 of those. Yeah.
So I got a quick question in regards to what we heard earlier. We talked about being more accountable and becoming better citizens. So my question is really simple. Citizens to what? What is our identity? Is our identity Alberta? Are we the 51st state? Are we going to war with everyone? Are we trying to stay with everyone? So what is the identity that we're trying to take?
Albertan looking for independence, and then the next part will be a conversation that's after. Are we a republic? What kind of government do we want? A new type of constitution, a modified type of constitution? Take after one good one, modify it a bit, or look at other options. But at the first step, let's take this step by step. You don't ask if your child is going to marry a beautiful woman. You just raise your child to be a good person, to attract a beautiful person. So let's not focus so much about 5 or 6 steps down the road. The first step is to get to that referendum and then show up to that referendum and bring everybody to that referendum.
I agree, but I'll add that I think Albertans do have an identity. I think that we are a unique culture. I think that the left and the Federalists are trying to claim. There was a op-ed in the Globe and Mail claiming we don't have an identity. Well, I was born here. My sons were born here, and I know, and I lived in Ontario for 8 years. Ontarians are not Albertans. They don't think like us. They don't live like us. They don't have our values. What are the values of Albertans? Hard work. You know what the #1 answer from an Albertan, if they kind of want to brag, when you ask them how they're doing? Busy. How many of you have asked someone how they're doing and they say busy? It's a status symbol. If they're not busy, you're like, well, what's wrong with you? Are you really an Albertan? Right? So work. Work is a key identity of, you don't move to Alberta for the weather. I think we all know that, right? You don't move to Alberta because you're like, I really want to be cold for 8 months a year. And, go ahead.
We rearranged some upcoming meetings because we didn't want them to interfere with seating.
Yeah, like work. Work is a huge part of identity. Now, I think we're based on Judeo-Christian values, right? And primarily we're based on a really special, in my mind, kind of Christianity, which is prairie Christianity. It's strong. We had 5 premiers who had Bible programs on that they did radio every week, right? I think that's important, and I think we need to keep it. I think Western civilization is based on those values, and then if we lose those values, we lose any culture worth having. But if you want to read a book that I think is really key on this, it's a book called The Ancient City, and it talks about how culture is created and how the Roman culture was created and the Greek culture. Family. We have to make family the cornerstone of this new nation, not the individual. We have to make people having kids, because the world is not having kids, folks. And if we don't promote that like Hungary is, like other places in the world are, it won't matter what values we have because we'll disappear anyway.
And let me ask you all if you're Albertan. So give me a loud, I am Albertan. I am Albertan. There's your answer, sir.
All right, next question. This is a really short one. I was just wondering about the cop cars outside, if you have the reason why they showed up, just so we can get ahead of the speculation.
Yeah, if you could.
Actually, Tim, do you want it? Well, Tim, talk to them.
I'm intimidated because I don't have the beard, right? I'm going to keep this really short. They came to deliver a letter. The letter is at our lawyers, and you'll be hearing information on that. I guess what I will say that really makes me angry, investigations are supposed to be really quiet, right? You're not supposed to be publicized. But someone at Elections Alberta decided to make a big scene by having 10 cop cars drive through Edmonton and having people show up here so they could announce an investigation without being legally able to announce an investigation.
Look, Elections Alberta hates me, guys. I just want you to know this, all right? They hate me. I am in a 3-year court battle with them right now, and it is going very well for me, and they do not like that. So, so I just want you to know that they are going to throw accusations at us. They're going to claim we've done things illegally. We haven't. Everything that we've done is perfectly legal. It's done on every single political campaign across this country for the entirety of my time in campaigning. Tim's right, there's going to be official statements. There will be arguments made in the public. Just know, why would they be so afraid of us? Because if you get involved with this, we will win.
I have no further information because I didn't speak to the police, but I can tell you why they're here. It's for the headlines tomorrow. You're going to see the 5-6 second clips on the news tomorrow. And it's going to be something like the police had to show up because of this meeting. Something along those lines will be my gut. And thank goodness I got rid of my raw milk. Whew.
The lawfare has begun. I mean, they're willing to show up and give us this notice in front of people that disagree with us and get taped. There's a quote from one of Stalin's top advisors, Stalin from the Soviet Union. He said, "Name the man and I'll name the crime." We have already entered a socialist type country where so many laws have been made that any reason can be generated to arrest anyone. And if they don't even have a reason, they will come up with one, and then we got to spend money to defend ourselves. That's another reason why we can't have a single point of leadership. We need to all be on board with this. The same way that the Berlin Wall fell. There was no leader that said, let's take it down. There was a bunch of people that pushed through gates. Eventually, the soldiers at the gates decided not to shoot and let them through. That's where we're heading if we give up our guns and if we succumb to all of this fear. We got to fear the future too if we don't do something. Politically.
I just want to thank all of the people at the front for your commitment. I feel very inspired tonight by what you've been saying. Our family has been living in Alberta for 5 generations, and I love Alberta. I love Canada, and it breaks my heart that we have to separate, but I can't see any way out. What I want to know is, what dichotomy of the population voted in the last election, because there's so much empathy. I go to some of the neighbors and they don't care. I don't understand. How can we fight that?
I had a podcast, you guys can all go look at it if you want, called The Canadian Story. It was 200 episodes of me and my cousin talk. One of my ancestors was the first white man born this side of the Grand River in Ontario. Before that, we came over on the Mayflower. I don't have any other home. Canada was my home. I loved it. I served in Ottawa. I'm a new separatist. I'm not like some of you who've been separatists your whole lives. I loved Canada, and I have 200 episodes online of a podcast to prove it. It's dead. They killed it, and they're trying to kill us. If we want to save what remains of Canada, we have to save Alberta. And I don't like saying that. I love hockey. I love the nature in Ontario and BC and the Maritimes. This is the most beautiful land that there's ever been, in my opinion. And it was truly one of the most beautiful cultures. But the truth is that we let them take it from us. And we're about to let them take Alberta. And I'm going to fight to make sure that that doesn't happen, because I will not see my home totally destroyed, and we can preserve the culture and the beauty that was Canada here in Alberta.
I'll be a little bit more direct. I was speaking with a coworker today, and the level of apathy towards this entire movement was shocking, really. She's struggling, she's doing all the same things I am. How can we get them out of that to be decided apathetic bucket and moved? Because I explained everything I could to her, and she still shrugged and walked away.
Okay, so I've done 400 meetings on this very topic. How do we get rid of apathy? There's a couple of important points. The first is it doesn't take a majority of the population to change something. So in the revolution in Russia, there were only 3% of the people that participated, and they took over the country and turned it into a communist regime. But that should be a hopeful number for us. We don't need everybody. We just need enough. So don't spend all your time on the people that just aren't gonna be able to be convinced. Find your friends, find your allies, and we mobilize them. Organization wins against numbers every single time. Every time. Think about armies, right? Are armies ever the majority of a population? Never. But everyone should be afraid of a well-organized army, right? We're not going to be doing violence. I don't believe in violence, but we are going to be like an army. We are going to be organized, we are going to be mission-focused, and we are going to be merit-based, and we are going to get this done. Join us. I will teach you. If you come on the Zoom calls every week at 7 p.m., I'm teaching everybody that comes on there everything that I know about organizing. So come on there. I'll teach you ways to convince people, ways to get people motivated, all that kind of stuff. I ask you all to come and all to invite people who want to know about the Centurion Project. Maybe say just come on, right? But again, you only have so much time. So use it on the, there's 300,000 people that signed this petition. We just got to find them and get them to identify 10 people.
And instead of trying to convince her by sharing everything that you know, which is what you've already done, listen to her. Sit down and ask her some questions and let her answer you. What is it that you love about Canada? Why should Alberta stay here? The first 10 are going to be emotional ones. And let her speak them. And actually agree with her. Say, you're right, I felt that way too. And let her talk. Eventually, she might have to get to some rational and logical and financial and prosperity reasons, and she will be struggling there. And that's where you can also have some more conversation with her about, yes, do you want 55% of your taxes? Do you want half of the tax dollars leaving Alberta and not coming back in services? How do you feel about going into debt and these deficits on a federal level? Then you can have those more conversations. But you got to get her past the emotional part, because we all had to do that too. We loved where we lived. So did she.
I just noticed the time. So how many more questions do you guys want?
6, 7.
Oh, quite a few. They're good to go. Okay.
Everybody doesn't have to stay, right? If you got to go, that's fine, but we're happy to answer questions.
Hey, gentlemen. I was just going to mention that during the recent Premier's fundraiser, one of our supporters asked her if her referendums were just designed to swamp the independence question. And she immediately responded that no, there were going to be separate ballots. And he responded that he once we won, he'd like to welcome her as the first president of an independent Alberta. And for once, she didn't know what to say, but the big thing was she got an enormous round of applause. So the one thing about our beloved Premier, she is nothing if not adaptable and flexible. However, having said all that, the question is this. During the last civic election in Edmonton, 29% voted, and we ended up with Mayor Quack. Now, what did he do? Well, the first official act was in January when there was a huge snowstorm. He went off to a global warming conference, and the snow removal crews did. Doesn't apathy work in our favor? Can't apathy work in our favor?
Absolutely, right? There's 1 million people that identify themselves as independent supporters in Alberta, and I don't think we're going to see more than 75% of people vote. So those people are going to vote, and we're going to make sure they vote, and we're going to do that with the Centurion Project.
And one little stat I'll throw at you, CBC was kind of trying to flex and said 80% of Canadians do not support it, but 20% did. That's 8.5 million Canadians. That means Alberta actually has lots of support outside of Alberta for what we're doing. So whether they realize it or not, that was a nice boost. Because if there's 1 million inside of Alberta, there's 7.5 million outside that already support it.
Fine. Okay, so you're talking about apathy. One of the things that's happening is there are a number of other groups out there, different demographics. We're going to talk cultural resettlers as far as immigrants, natives. We're seeing some of the band members coming our way. What their issue is that they have less interest. Stop that.
Okay. So he knows there's 30 seconds, and he's...
No, but you're talking in my ear. I've done this before.
Okay, so 10 seconds.
Okay, so what they're more worried about is food, shelter, care. And I think if you're looking at getting them involved, their level of interest in sovereignty is much less as far as having an interest in that. Whereas if you can use sovereignty to identify how it's going to handle those areas, it's going to be in some way better than leading with sovereignty.
Sadly, you're very correct. Yeah, sadly, you're very correct, and that's how they're going to distract a lot of people. People are going to be focused on just living, just being able to buy that bread. and not focus on spending time on picking up information and learning things. You're absolutely correct. But that's also one of the reasons why we should be doing this, because some of those policies are being made outside of our hands that are causing those situations. So ideally, we may have to have a lot more conversations. That's why I think the Centurion Project that these gentlemen put together is going to help do that. Because if you know 10 people and a couple of them are not paying attention because of their financial struggles, have conversations directly with them, reach out to them.
Yeah, I mean, the Centurion Project is not the messaging arm of the independence movement. I think there will be a central, I think, you know, Mitch is working on putting things together. We're not doing messaging. We're voter identification and get out the vote. There will be groups doing that. I'm not really that interested in that because I don't actually think it reaches as many people, and people are way more concerned about messaging and communications than people, and people are going to be how we win this. That's what I'm going to focus on. I want lots of groups. You should start a group. Talk about messaging. Talk about those things. But that's not going to be the focus of the Centurion Project.
Gentlemen, I've looked online, and one thing that hasn't come up is the amount of countries that have already done what we're doing, and they all passed the test, and it takes the people to do it. And I think if we can get over that fear, the only person that we can blame is the one in the mirror. So I just came here to say
thank you for saying that.
I think we're at the last question.
So tonight, I see that Global was here. Were they invited?
No, they asked to come, but we welcome anyone to come.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's fine. Do you think that they had inside information about the police coming here tonight?
No, I don't think so. I mean, we were pretty public about announcing this meeting, so Elections Alberta definitely would have known that it was happening. This is obviously an intimidation tactic, right?
Right, so
But here's the thing, and I mean this very seriously. We need as much attention on this as possible, and this will bring a lot of attention. So don't see it as a bad thing. They're going to try to spin it. People are going to say, what is this Centurion Project? And do you think, and when they put it on Global, if they do you think that the people who, like, we're looking for the people that support independence to get them on board, right? Do you think they're going to be like, oh, Global said that they're bad, they must be bad? They're going to say, Global said they're bad, sign me up. You gotta play 5D chess with this stuff, right?
Yeah, there's a thing called the Streisand effect, and that might work for us because they have to come out and cover it now. So we'll see tomorrow. Thanks very much for the interview, and we'll see how that worked out. Hope you guys got some clips. And we'll find out tomorrow, but thank you for being here.
So one final comment, and then I invite each of the panelists to deliver your final remarks. So here's the final comment.
I just wanted to say to everybody who's struggling with people who aren't getting it, don't undervalue the importance of planting a seed. Sometimes people just need to walk away and think on it. And don't be afraid to reapproach them.
And now let's hear a minute or so from each of our panelists, and then the event will draw to an end.
I do this out of love.
JJ is 11, Jacob is 9, and I do it for them. The whole reason why I got involved in the beginning in 2022 is after what I saw that happen in Ottawa. I was out in the fifth wheel, we were planning to build a house on our homestead, homeschool, do all that fun stuff, semi-retire, and just raise our children. But after what I saw in Ottawa with guns pointed at fellow neighbors and the government overreaching and cracking down with violence against peaceful protesters, I said, nope, I can't leave this to my children. And with a child with special needs, I was sure the government would come and try and take him away, saying I can't homeschool him, I don't have the right certificates, but they want him. And I said, no way. And if the government shows up at my gate, it's too late. So I had to get involved, and I thank you all for being here and getting involved as well.
We don't have much time. And if you don't act, if you don't do it, then all the guys up here will probably end up in jail. For sure I will. So please, do your part. It isn't much, 15 minutes. You can give more if you want, but if we all work together, we will win this.
Yeah, there were dark days during COVID, right? We all lived through dark days during COVID. There were days where I thought, there's no way this is happening. We were in a mass psychosis, but we got out of it because, I believe this, we've heard this number many times, because about 3 to 5% of us said this is wrong. And we kept talking about the truth and trying to wake up people. It's frustrating, but you eventually wake up people. The trucking convoy happened. There was all these grassroots movements, and we got out of COVID. This is something similar. I told you, I spent 40 days on the side of the road. I didn't feel like going there most days, but I would go there, and I could tell, I could see the traffic going by, and they would put something up like this, and they'd be like, don't look, don't look, don't look, right? Don't look, ignore it. My life is good. I'm in blissful ignorance. My life is fine. Don't look. And I played games, right? If somebody stopped, I made sure that I didn't let them go. Sign the petition, and when they were sitting there, I'd say, hey, that's a nice truck. And they didn't know what I was doing, but I was talking to them about their truck so that they'd hang around, so that there'd be 2 cars there. And then somebody would drive by and go, why is there 2 cars there? And then the 3rd car would show up, and now the first guy, you're free to go. So it's, so plant the seed, lead by example, and just do a bit every day, and it will happen. That's what like you guys ask those questions. There's no easy answer. There's no easy answer. It sucks to go sit on the side of the road. It sucks to have a conversation with somebody. It's just what it is. But if you believe in it, it won't happen unless we each do our little bit. That's all. And then what's the expression? Like, work, you know.
Work is the brain.
No, many hands make
many hands make light work.
Make light work.
If you do the work, we can win. If you talk to people about this from your heart and why it's important to you, not just facts and figures, but why it's important to you as a human being, we can win. If.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, I propose a standing ovation for all of our presenters this evening. Thank you all so much for coming, and to find out about more events of the Centurion Project, take that flyer home with you that you found on your chair or nearby, and or take some pictures of the Centurion Project posters. Thanks again for coming out tonight. My name is Benita Peterson. I have the Facebook page called Alberta Independence Movement, so you can find me on Facebook if you like. Just look up Alberta Independence Movement, Benita Peterson, and I'm happy to help with other events and initiatives supporting Alberta independence. Good night.
And thank you very much for the 250 people watching online. It was cool to see you there. Thank you very much for tuning in. And we'll see you tomorrow in Lloydminster for a Let's Talk Alberta event. So thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow then. Have a good one.